please. We are going to get started. Alrighty, guys, we are going to go ahead and get started. Make sure that you have your cell phones on silent out of respect for our speakers today. As you guys know, we decided to combine Why We Play and follow it right up with Bell's Awards. So what we're going to do, we'll do our Why We Play all together, and then after Why We Play, we'll do just a quick break so we can kind of reset things. Then we'll have you guys, or you can just stay in here, it doesn't matter, but we'll use it as an intermission. We'll have you guys come on back in and we'll do Bell Awards. So, Why We Play. We have been doing this since 2016. It was started by Gene Hess, the volleyball coach at Kalamazoo College, as a way to allow Division III student athletes to just kind of share their experience in sport and the power of sport that you all know as Division III student athletes. So when we started it, we decided to do it a little bit different than Kalamazoo does it. We do a fall version and a spring version. We only open it up for seniors. They have to apply to speak, and then we choose our athletes. So this time we're going to do our winter and our spring student athletes, and I'm going to actually invite Carol up right now to speak.
Is it showing now? Oh gosh. Hi, my name is Caroline Macius, aka Carol. I'm a senior on the basketball team, and I will be sharing my story on why I chose to play basketball at St. Mary's. Like most of us here, my story started when I was a little kindergartner balling up at the YMCA. At the age of 7, I was playing a variety of sports, including soccer, softball, volleyball, basketball, and taking different types of dance classes. Yes, I said dance classes. All throughout grade school, I was participating in different sports along with my friends and siblings. My friends and I were quite different though. We all played on the same team so our moms could hang out and so we could stay active. They were the types of girls who would be doing each other's hair on the soccer field while the rest of us were actually playing. As we grew older, I started to become more serious with sports and picked only a few sports to focus on. That included soccer, volleyball, and basketball. I played each of these sports at our town's league until I was old enough to play on my school's team. Our grade school's team for volleyball and basketball were terrible. I was decent at volleyball due to my height and continued to play to be with my friends. I was also the tallest on my basketball team, but at first was not any good. And our team wasn't any good either. There were about 5 teams in our conference, and since we only had 3 players that could actually score, my coach would pull up 6th graders up to our 8th grade team. And that included my younger sister and another girl. We would get beat in most of our games, but we would still go out for ice cream afterwards to celebrate the effort. By the time 8th grade was over, I was getting ready for high school. I went to a small Catholic grade school from kindergarten to 8th grade. Most of us grew up with one another, and the majority of our graduating class was going to the Catholic high school. I was among the few that would be attending the public high school. The summer before high school started, I had to pick the sports I wanted to continue. I decided just to stick with basketball, just like my older sister. The first day of summer league was hot and hard. It was very different than my grade school team. Most of these girls actually had skills. Once summer league was over, we were pretty much set on the teams for when October came around. My sister was also playing at the time, and I was on the freshman A team while she played varsity. I would attend her games as she did for me too. When school finally started, there was this talk about this incoming freshman, Haley, who was already receiving college offers. Our school was known for our football program at the time, so this was a major thing for our school and our basketball program. As high school continued on, Haley and I became best friends. She would get so many college offers, and then throughout junior and senior year, recruiters would come visit during our practices. During these couple of years, I never once thought that I could play in college. When my sister graduated and moved on to St. Mary's to major in accounting and basketball, I still didn't really think I could play in college. My senior year of high school was tough. I loved playing basketball, but it was a struggle throughout the season. Most of the girls who I began playing with during freshman year quit throughout junior year and before senior year started. I knew this was going to be a tough decision, but I knew I wouldn't be able to quit and give up. There were several girls getting D1 offers that played ahead of most of us, and that was hard. Like that one 6th grade girl on my grade school team who was now a 6-foot giant being recruited by Harvard. During our senior year, we were actually really good. We ended up going to state and getting 2nd overall. That was definitely an accomplishment for our team. During the car ride home, I had a couple of hours to think about if I wanted to give up the sport that the little 7-year-old Carol fell in love with, or continue to play basketball in college, if I could. After that car ride, I decided to pick St. Mary's and try to walk on the team. I didn't really know anything about being recruited by schools and contacting coaches, so I asked for my sister's help, and she gave me a bunch of workouts to do throughout the summer. She told me, you need to get a 7-minute mile before you can walk on the team. I sat there like, what? My first year at St. Mary's was definitely not easy. Being a nursing major at the time and playing a sport where you start in October and the end in February was definitely a commitment. I ended up dropping out of nursing 2nd semester of my sophomore year and freaking out on what to do next. My mom and I talked about transferring to another nursing program, but in my mind, I knew I couldn't leave St. Mary's. I ended up picking elementary education because I knew I still wanted to work with kids. And that was the best choice I've made so far during my college career. During basketball season, freshman year, our team won 1 game, and that was hard coming from a high school team that was always winning. Our team was quite small too. We had 4 seniors, 2 juniors, 3 sophomores, and 2 freshmen. So when we were down a few people with injuries, practices and games were tough. After the season ended, Aaron and I, the 2 freshmen at the time, knew we wanted to get better and get our team better. We did workouts together and started thinking positively about our upcoming sophomore season. Throughout the summer before sophomore year, I was training at the gym every chance I got. When I wasn't lifeguarding or babysitting, I was scrimmaging guys and working on my game to be a better player. After freshman year, I learned about what hard work actually means and being determined to want something. The transition from high school to college, I never really thought of anything like that. But after freshman year, I was able to motivate myself to get better. Sophomore and junior year were definitely just as hard because we only won a few more games than the previous year. But that did not stop me from continuing to work hard and to never give up. During my junior year, we didn't have any gym space throughout our preseason, so we looked elsewhere. We shot around at Notre Dame on an empty court by Dublin Village and even asked the Holy Cross girls to scrimmage with them. After junior year, Aaron and I were both determined to get back in the gym with our team and start working for the upcoming season. Senior year was by far the best. Our team was the closest with one another compared to my previous years. I think that was one of the details that led to some of our successes. I am proud of my team for our accomplishments from this year. We had some great times together, including Christmas break bonding and my favorite memory, which was when the ROTC members came in to mentally and physically train us. While most of us were nervous when they saw them, I, of course, was sprinting around the court yelling in excitement. But like most teams, we also had some rough times. We learned how to adjust after a tough loss, injuries, or a bad practice. Out of my 4 years here, this last one taught me so much about being on a team and working together to get better. Throughout my life, sports have given me so much. They have taught me to always get back up with a smile after being hit too hard or taking a dive. When times were tough, I knew I could always rely on playing basketball to release some of that stress and frustration. Playing college basketball taught me what being an athlete really means. When things weren't going well, like the first few years at St. Mary's, I learned to never give up and continue to be determined to reach my goals as a player. I'm glad that the 17-year-old me decided to continue playing basketball here. I'm proud to have played at St. Mary's College the last 4 years for all the opportunities I was given as an athlete. I've met so many great people while playing here and continue to do so. I just want to thank the whole athletic department because you all have been so supportive for my team and myself. I want to thank my coach for never giving up on me and pushing me to get better. I'd also like to thank my teammates for such great years. I know next year will be bigger and better, so keep it up, guys. And the last thanks would be to my co-senior, roommate, and best friend. Thanks, buddy, for the last 4 years. They were definitely not the easiest, but we supported one another and made us to this point. Can't wait for the next stage, coaching against one another. I just like clip it.
There you go. Hello, my name is Zoe Bruni and I'm a senior member of the softball team. From a young age, I was involved in some sort of sport. It all started with a very short-lived ballet phase. Even at age 3, stage fright is a real thing. Then, of course, was a soccer stage that was also short-lived. I'm not much of a runner or very agile, so obviously that wasn't going to last too long. Most of my athletic career was spent playing 3 sports: volleyball, basketball, and obviously softball. My dad worked for the wellness center connected to our public high school, so every camp that was held there we attended. Because of these camps, I started to love volleyball. Eventually, to my parents' surprise, I decided to try out for our club team with my neighbor. I played club for 3 years, played on my grade school team, and then continued to play for my freshman and sophomore years of high school. It was sad to give up, but it was clear that I was quickly being passed up by others on the team who had continued to play club and devote their lives just to volleyball. Around the same time I started playing volleyball, I played grade school basketball. Grade school turned into AAU, AAU turned into high school basketball. I wasn't the best on the team, but I wasn't the worst. Basketball will forever hold a place in my heart. It gave me my high school best friends and many life lessons. I'm lucky to have a sister who still needs a rebounder during the off seasons. After a year of playing club volleyball, AAU basketball, and travel softball at the same time, I realized there was a conflict between 2 sports and the one that I truly loved. I started playing softball when I was about 6 for our local team, Lockport Junior Miss. Intimidating name, I know. My dad was my coach my whole rec career. Everyone who played for their dad knows how that goes. We had some good athletes, and then there was a lot that did not understand anything about what was happening. I was held to a much higher standard than everyone else on the team. From the start, softball was the sport that stuck. It was always mine and my dad's thing. We played catch on the sidewalk in front of our house. During my pitching years, he sacrificed himself to catch for me. We had many arguments over how I should be swinging and what my stance in the box should be. My dad played baseball in college and competitive 16-inch softball for most of my life. Going to his games and having him coach me sparked my love for this sport. I play for him and his constant support. I would not be the player I am today if he would have given up on me at some point during my career. By 9, most of my friends had moved on to travel softball. So I went to my first 10U tryout and made the team. From there, travel softball took over my family's whole world. I was an average player. At this age, I was a catcher and an outfielder, so basically the exact opposite of my 22-year-old self. I was far from the best on the team, but I made some of my best friends that year. We had went to nationals, and it was time to try out again. I didn't think much of it. I just went out and played with my friends that I had just spent the last year with. After tryouts, I was waiting to see if we'd have any new teammates, but that ended up not mattering. My coach called my parents to let them know that I was cut. As a 10-year-old, I was crushed. I just sacrificed the summer to be told that I was no longer good enough the next year. It hurt, but I did not let that deter me. From that year on, I had tryout for teams, and every year there was rejection. It was pretty crushing to be told over and over that you aren't good enough at something that you love. But this shaped me into the person I am today. Today, I play for the little girl that was continuously told she was not good enough. I play for everyone out there who has given it their all just to be rejected. High school was my next big decision. I came from a small grade school with a tight-knit group of friends. I strayed from the pack and decided to go to Providence for the academic and athletic opportunities they offered to me. Going to a private high school 15 minutes away instead of the public school that's literally in my backyard was a sacrifice for my whole family to make. Playing softball in high school was a no-brainer. I tried out for varsity as a freshman and was one of 3 of the freshmen to make the team that year. Being able to send the picture of the roster to my parents made both leaving my friends and the financial sacrifices worth it. My parents had given me every possible opportunity to set me up for success. Because of this, I play for them. I play for their continued support, their chairs out in right field every game, and everything that they have allowed for me to do to play this sport. I can never thank them enough for this, for starting my love for the game and letting me continue to play. My parents weren't the only ones that had to give up a lot of their life. To my sister, who sat through more games than she ever wanted to, I play for you. I play for your support, your sassy attitude, and always telling me how it is. You have sacrificed so much for me, and I'm so lucky to have you here along my way of my senior year. Hopefully in 3 years, I can be sitting here listening to you talk about your basketball experience at St. Mary's. I loved playing high school softball. My freshman year, we had the best finish in school history, finishing 3rd place at state. I wasn't an everyday starter. I shared time at third base and in the outfield, while also seeing a couple innings at short, first, and pitching. Sophomore year was my breakout season. I started at first, was surrounded by some of my best friends, and ended up having an all-conference year. Things were looking up for the last 2 years. During my end of the year meeting, my coach told me to prepare to move to second base the next season, which I thought was a hilarious joke. I laughed, pitched, and played first the whole summer, came back to the end of our summer season for high school, and started at second base. That was an experience that lasted a whole year. A lot of my coach not talking to me, a lot of errors, but it was a learning experience, that's for sure. At this point, I knew my senior year would determine if I was going to play in college or not. Right off the bat, I was terrible. I was giving up home runs, throwing more balls than strikes, and couldn't hit the ball to save my life. My coach pulled up another freshman pitcher from JV to be my new competition because I was doing so bad. But from that point on, I turned it around. I wanted to have another all-conference season. Adversity makes you better, and those last 2 seasons truly proved that to me. I decided on St. Mary's before I knew I was going to play softball. When I first drove around the campus, I did not love the school. Going into my senior year, I was across the street at a Notre Dame basketball camp. My friend Maeve, who played softball and basketball with me, decided that we should go on a tour of the school to continue to play one of the sports here. From the first 10 minutes, I knew St. Mary's was where I was meant to be. Freshman year rolled around, and I moved into a triple with 2 of my high school friends. We had our first meeting of the year where we got our fall schedule. I walked back to my room, sat on my bed, and cried. The commitment for the fall was not what I was expecting. I was overwhelmed to say the least and did not think I had many friends on the team. My first day of practice, I played catch with another one of the pitchers. I'd played against her in high school, and we played for the same travel program, so things seemed to be looking up. And then the next week, she left to study abroad. The next day, another teammate came up and sat next to me in class. Although she thinks I did not want to be her friend, I'm thankful she came and sat by me. I started to make more friends and decided to stick it out until the spring. I might not have played a lot, but I developed as a player and learned a lot about myself that year. I had my first MIA experience thinking I was starting, but I was actually just in the DP spot. And then I had my biggest game of the year against Shrine in a must-win game while it was pouring rain on senior day to make it into the tournament. Thank you a lot for that, Coach. But those moments of learning and confidence have helped me grow. I play for the nervous freshman who is able to grow and find her place. Being on a pitching staff with 4 people, 3 of them being only a year older than me, allowed me to play many roles, learn a lot of wisdom from others, and make friends with a lot of very different personalities. Losing those 3 are tough, but I still play for them. I play for everything that those 3 girls had taught me, and I hope that I'm able to pass it on to the new 3 in our current pitching staff. I've been lucky to be in this program during its best years. It has made the commitment and experience worthwhile. From playing in the conference tournament for the past 3 years to the once-in-a-lifetime experience of hosting a round of the NCAA tournament, I've been so blessed to call St. Mary's and the softball program my home for the past 4 years. To the girls that I have played with over the past 4 years, I play for every one of you. Softball at the Division III level is a commitment to something that you love. For that, you should be commended. I've been so lucky to play with every one of you. The past 4 years have helped me transform into the person I am today, and I am forever grateful for this school and sport for giving me forever friends and memories that only softball could have given us. I play for the love of the game, the motivation, the personalities of all of those who've helped me get to where I am today. And after this experience, to reflect, I realized of all the great things that I have to play for, how much my Division III experience has meant to me. But most importantly, I play for the love of the game. The victory, the losses, the triumphs, and the hard times. For all aspects of the game, I play for that.
and I'm a senior on the lacrosse team, and this is why I play. Anyone who knows me knows that lacrosse is a huge part of my life. I mean, my Instagram handle has been Lax Molly since 8th grade. And I think it's a part of my identity now, so I'm in too deep to change it. Sorry. Although it may be hard to believe, I wasn't always Lax Molly. It took a bit of athletic exploration to figure out that lacrosse was the right sport for me. My family members are some of the most competitive people you'll ever meet, and sports were a big part of my life from a very young age. Judging by my baby pictures, I clearly missed out on a heavyweight championship or a wrestling career. My grandpa and great uncle lovingly referred to me as Little Sumo in the months after I was born and before I lost all that baby weight. Then I dabbled in dance and decided I didn't have the flexibility or arch support to do that. And next was Pee Wee soccer. And that stuck for a few years until I realized how much you had to run. What I really was interested in, though, was swimming. Being from Florida, I was always in the water, whether it was by the pool or at the beach. My mother and aunt were swimmers in high school, and I can swim across my grandmother's pool from the age of 2, so joining a swim team was a natural transition. I loved swimming. It was challenging and fun at the same time. With the exception of the occasional debilitating foot cramp, it had been my favorite sport thus far. I swam up until 3rd grade, but stopped because I was experiencing very intense chest pain and irregular heart rhythms, which we later found out was being caused by a heart murmur. One of the valves in my heart doesn't fully close, so the blood that is going through my heart kind of backlashes, so that was what was causing the chest pain. And for a while there, I had to be hospitalized and wear what felt like dozens of heart monitors to figure out what was going on. Fortunately, my doctors determined that the murmur was benign and no serious surgery was needed. They did, however, want me to be able to control my breathing during my sport, so that took competitive swimming off the table. Through this difficult time, my family had been there for me every step of the way. They're all watching. As the oldest of 3 girls, there wasn't an older sibling for me to look up to, but I do have a large, very close network of extended family. My great uncle and aunt, who are Notre Dame and St. Mary's grads, had settled very close to my family and had 6 kids, all older than me, but still close in age. Growing up, we were always over there at their house for family parties, and their 5 daughters were like my role models. So when I had to stop swimming, they were quick to suggest that I should try playing lacrosse through a program at our local recreation center. Could have still done wrestling, I think, I don't know. Still a little chub there. My uncle and cousins were coaching and playing and invited me to come try it. My family members became my first coaches and teammates. Picking up that fiddlestick and stepping foot on the field was the start of my 12-year lacrosse career. I cannot thank my Uncle Jeff and my Kurtz cousins enough for that push I needed. I can't talk about beginning my lacrosse experience without mentioning the most influential coach I ever had, Joe Sarasulo. He was involved with the rec program, but also held camps to help kids improve on their agility, stick skills, and overall understanding of the game. The special thing about Coach Joe's camps was that they were co-ed. I learned to get comfortable switching hands, shooting, and cradling alongside both girls and boys of all ages. There was, and to an extent still is, a stigma surrounding girls lacrosse that because it isn't as rough as boys lacrosse, it isn't much of a sport. Coach Joe broke down those barriers. He showed his athletes that girls, in fact, needed a bit more skill to keep the ball on their sticks, and he showed the boys that girls can be just as good. The fundamentals are the same no matter your gender. I attended these camps from the time I started to play through middle school and high school, all the way up until a few days before I left home for college. So thanks to this beautiful bald man, I gained so much confidence in my game, worked to perfect the fundamentals, and learned lacrosse right and left. Yeah, that's all Coach Jill, guys, not me. When it came to attend high school, I unexpectedly opted to attend a school that had a science-oriented magnet program instead of the school I was zoned for. This meant I had to leave all of my friends from middle school and transition into high school only knowing my cousin Caroline, who was a senior. I was so scared and unsure about if I would make new friends or fit in at the new school, but I tried to stay positive. At least this school was known to have a better and nicer lacrosse team. My cousin played on the team and always talked about how fun it was, so I decided to try out, and I made it. My core group of friends came from joining lacrosse, and I realized that lacrosse was something that would always be there for me, no matter what else changed in my life. It always came with new, like-minded friends and provided a physical outlet for me when things felt overwhelming. My favorite memory with that team was when we beat our rivals at the district tournament my junior year. This was the first time in years our high school's program had done that. I was so honored to be part of that team and to celebrate with that with my friends. And in that top picture, I clearly had just realized that we won right when we were taking the picture. So there was that. I was so honored, so, yikes. Through my high school years, I recruited my 2 younger sisters to play lacrosse and actually got to be one of my sister's teammates my junior and senior years. Once they started playing, it became a full family affair. My mom, who is not good at sitting, studied the rule book so that she could sprint up and down the sideline and yell at the players with accurate encouragement and tactics to win the game. I even found my normally soft-spoken father whistling and yelling his grievances at the refs from time to time. I am so glad that my decision to continue playing through high school brought the 5 of us closer together in that aspect. Approaching my senior year, I did not think that I would play in college. Part of that was probably because I didn't know much about the women's collegiate lacrosse outside of Division I. When I decided to attend St. Mary's, I visited campus and spoke with Coach briefly about the program. It seemed nice, but I just still wasn't sure whether I wanted to play. I was going into a hard major and wasn't sure I would have time to do my schoolwork and extracurricular activities. Coach did mention how close the team was and how there were not 1 but 2 girls from Florida, Lauren Telford and Emily Van Nest, on the team already. That bit of information stuck in the back of my head and didn't resurface until about July of the summer before coming to St. Mary's. All of the nerves and fears about making friends and finding my place at a new school came creeping in. It was like freshman year of high school all over again. Most of my friends were staying in sunny Florida and close to home for college, while my crazy self wanted something different and naturally chose a school 19 hours away in South Bend, Indiana. I remembered how much of an impact my high school team made on my experience, so I decided to try out St. Mary's lacrosse for the fall season. That fall season was filled with so much promise, and I realized that I was definitely not ready to give up my sport just yet. I knew that just as it had before, lacrosse would serve as an anchor for me, especially with such a drastic change. The past 4 years have been filled with highs and lows. Committing 4 years of your life to do anything is going to be hard and challenging. As Division III athletes, we commit to not only being the best student we can be, but also commit to working hard every day during practices and games to represent our school even further. For me, that didn't come without doubts and trials. Let me tell you guys, even though I wanted a change of scenery, I did not know what I was getting into with these Indiana winters. They are cold, gray, and there are too many types of precipitation in my opinion. One of my most vivid memories from freshman year was a game we played against North Central. We got out to the field to warm up, and it's a little cold, but not a bad looking day. Dare I say, I think the sun was out during warm-ups. And it started flurrying. That's why I was so happy in this picture. The key word here is was, because soon after that it began to hail, which then turned into sleet, and then turned into bigger hail until the wind whipped and pelted my cheeks so hard I got windburn. Eventually I could barely see the other half of the field in front of me. On top of that, we lost miserably, so you could tell how that day went for little Floridy and me. Related to the weather, St. Mary's was the first place I had ever played lacrosse inside. In my hometown, I always played on grass or turf outside in the blistering heat. The change in surfaces from moving inside the gym proved to be difficult on my body, specifically my legs. Shin splints and leg pain are now a part of my everyday experience with lacrosse. Ashley and Katie are lovely trainers. Athletic trainers can attest to the fact that I have been a frequent flyer in their training room since I started here. My medical paperwork was flagged because of that heart murmur, and the rest is history. Ashley and Katie are part of the reason why I'm standing most days, so thank you for that, ladies. Experiencing these lows, although tough, are every bit worth it because of one main high: getting to know and love my teammates. Didn't know I was going to break down this early. Coach was not kidding when she said to me that this team is very close-knit. My most favorite memories from collegiate lacrosse are traveling on spring break with the team. The Hilton Head, Florida, Portland, and LA trips bonded me to these girls more than they'll ever know. Singing songs in the vans, goofing off at team dinners, and exploring the cities and playing some beautiful lacrosse together have created memories that I will never forget. Each and every woman I have met through this program has touched my heart in their own special way. They have been my closest confidants, the people that lift my spirits when I'm sad, the people who make me laugh so hard my stomach hurts. They are my biggest cheerleaders and best friends. Better yet, they're more like sisters. I know that's cliche. They're more like sisters, but ones I got to choose because I decided to play at this institution. Special shout out to my teammates, but also roommates, Kate Kelly and Rachel Leonard. Thank you for challenging me and building me up as both a lacrosse player and as a woman. I wouldn't have wanted anyone else by my side, calling me Bean for the past 4 years. So, although I started out playing with my family members as my teammates, I continued to play because of the teammates who have supported me, loved me, and became my family. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Monica Davy, and I am on the tennis team. I was basically born with a tennis racket in my hand. My mother, a trained professional instructor, named me after one of the all-time greats, Monica Sellis. Starting at the age of 5, she spent countless hours tossing balls, watching me swing and miss hundreds of times. In my innocent mind, I actually looked exactly like Monica Sellis. However, realistically, I probably resembled like a golden retriever puppy stumbling around with my white Velcro Nikes, chasing basically any tennis ball that came my way. Despite the many double faults, whiffs, the smile of hope and encouragement never left my mom's face. obviously you can see in the picture. The same glow remained with her as I recall the beginning of my USTA tournament career, which stands for United States Tennis Association, where I spent most of my summer and winter weekends playing matches that my family often referred to as character builders. Now, if you know me, you probably know that I'm a pretty chatty person. And if you don't know me, I'll probably start up like a mildly intrusive conversation with truly the best intentions at hand. My USTA opponents didn't always appreciate that side of me. I'll paint you a little picture of what it was like at the beginning of my career. Me, 14, thick oval glasses that tinted to a darker shade of brown with the touch of any sun ray. Held on my face by a neon green glasses strap that I picked out myself. But to this day, I still like bright colors, so I'll always choose a bright color to wear. A random Puma brand shirt that my mom bought me to inspire my cat-like reflexes on the court. You know, her heart was always in the right place. I walked to the tournament director's table to our designated court with my opponent. Man, it's a sunny day. Make sure you got some sunscreen. I like SPF 30 sport because I'm like athletic, so yeah. So how old are you? I'm 14. I'm from Morris, Illinois. It's a farm town, so you've probably never heard of it. But wait, have you heard of Cornfest? Because that's a thing in my town. My opponent Blakely stares at me while her Lululemon tennis dress flows with the summer breeze. I'm 10, serve the ball. Now, in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, oh, this girl's only 10? I've so got this, like, I'm 14. Okay, on the receiving end of 12 aces, 17 winners, a few overhead smashes later, I hear my mom's sympathetic cheer as she goes, you got this? Oh no, Mom, I'm sorry, but I do not got this. I'd walk off the court totally defeated as the 10-year-old tennis robot reports the tragic score. At this point, I'd walk over to my parents and my grandparents, and my grandpa would come up to me and hand me a small piece of candy. Thanks, Grandpa, but I'm not really in the mood for candy right now. Oh no, Monica, that's not candy. This is a lifesaver. That's the only thing that could help you after that match. How sweet. Grandpa, you always knew just what to say. Nonetheless, I could always look to my mom for a comforting hug to suppress the sting of yet another 6-0, 6-0 loss. I wish I could tell you the story of what it's like to be a tennis prodigy, but I don't think my imagination is quite capable. However, fear not. Those character builders definitely did pay off, and I eventually came into my stride. By age 17, I was ranked number 6 in all of Northern Illinois. Even though that's a pretty cool stat, I knew that just getting out there and competing made my mom really proud of me. She's my first coach. She's the person who introduced me to the sport that I'm so passionate about today. She taught me how to be competitive, but she also taught me how to be compassionate. Each day I step on the court, I'm celebrating the greatest gift she ever gave to me. My mom was the first reason I ever picked up a tennis racket, and that's why she's one of the biggest reasons why I play. Tennis is kind of a lonely sport. When competing, it's just you and the other person across the court, both just trying to find each other's weaknesses and pounce. It breaks a lot of the stereotypes that athletes focus on because the focus isn't necessarily on a team. The common cliche like teamwork makes the dream work was actually kind of a joke around the tennis courts because teamwork doesn't always make the dream work. You have to make the dream work. As a few years as an only child, my parents decided that I definitely needed a doubles partner. So on August 20th, 1999, my best friend entered the world. And that was actually the second version of that Puma shirt. So I was kind of sponsored by Puma as a kid, which isn't a tennis brand at all. Many of you recognize her, and if you close your eyes, you probably won't be able to tell who's talking because our voices are so similar. What you may not know, though, is that she is also my business partner. Ever since we were in high school, my family ran the Morris Area Tennis Association, founded by my mom. When I entered college, the business was passed on to me. However, I could not do this alone. So each summer, my sister and I teach over 70 kids group tennis lessons. I'm the head instructor, and much to her demise, Megan is my assistant. The lessons are divided up by age and ability. We have the adorable little munchkins. Those are the ones on the bottom down there. We have the slightly awkward, developing middle schoolers. Yeah, those are called the ACEs. And we have the local high school teams, the elite. I use the term elite quite loosely because it's not always elite out there, but it definitely builds their confidence, and as a high schooler, I would have loved someone to classify me as elite, so that's why we still do it. The summers spent on the tennis courts with these kids have been some of the brightest and funniest memories I have. Moments like these we still crack up about, and all these little stories are completely true. Coach Monica, I can't remember if I'm left-handed or right-handed, so I keep just getting hit by balls instead. Ooh, you know what? Honey, that sounds like a problem for Coach Megan. Megan's look. Thanks, all right. Coach Monica, Coach Megan keeps hitting balls at me and I can't even reach them, and now I feel like I'm gonna throw up because I'm so tired. Can you please tell her to stop? I look over at Megan and she gives me an unsympathetic shrug. They wanna get better, then let's have them get better. All right, honey, you can go get a drink break. Megan, come on. Hey, Coach Monica, I dropped my tennis shoes in the pool at swimming lessons earlier today, so I'm just gonna play in my Crocs. Is that okay? Yeah, totally. Let's play in your Crocs. Get out there. Right on. All right. So that was kind of the gist of the random summer moments that we would have. But one day after practice, a mother of a 13-year-old camper came up to the fence. She told me that the other day her daughter, Sienna, was asked the question, "Who is your all-time favorite tennis player?" I expected her response to be one of the players that we talk about in camp, like Serena Williams or Roger Federer. Instead, Sienna confidently replied, "Monica and Megan Davy." That right there is why I still play. I have a whole community behind me cheering me on as I make them proud. I play because I know that there are little girls and boys out on the court each day working as hard as they can just to make a team. I play because I want to be the role model and leader that I really always wanted but never really found. Along with teaching morning group lessons, I also started my own tennis program for the Special Olympic athletes in our county. Twice a week, just as the sun cools down, bikes and minivans circle the courts as all the athletes show up for practice. The funny part about teaching those lessons is that after probably like 5 years, I'm still not sure if they even like tennis. I do know, however, that they like when Morris Area Tennis Association posts pictures of them on Facebook, and they absolutely love when I bring them prizes or popsicles. Honestly, I think that they just like to be a part of something. They love to compete, they love to move, they love to take a chance and try something new. After years and years of building this mental toughness and competitive spirit for myself, working with the Special Connections Olympic athletes remind me of why I play in the first place. I play to celebrate my health. I play because God gave me a body that continuously works day after day. So much has to go right for my body to function properly every single day. And as college athletes, we're all walking miracles in here. It took a unique and special lens for me to finally see that. Coming into college, I thought that tennis would forever be my strongest talent. I wasn't really musical, my grades aren't stellar, but I knew that tennis would be there for me, and that's why I wanted to play in college. It was in O'Laughlin Auditorium when the keynote speaker at freshman orientation posed the question, "What is your message to the world?" Now, my mind was just blown with that question. I was like, wow, what a loaded question. Mentally working through this question day by day, I told myself that I wanted an answer to that question by the time I was a senior. That was kind of like my challenge to St. Mary's and my challenge to myself. Super competitive, like challenging myself. And mentally working through this question day by day was the start of a 4-year discovery of the greatest skill that I never knew that I had, the ability to communicate love. I've realized that tennis has given me the perfect platform to communicate love throughout St. Mary's. Picking up a racket and hitting with my family was our ideal family night. I actually never really taught lessons with the intention of creating like these amazing tennis prodigies. Instead, I really just wanted to create a space where maybe if just for 1 hour, a kid felt really special, because truly, I believe they are amazing. As a college athlete, one of the biggest challenges for me has been finding a balance between competitiveness and compassion. If you've never seen me play, I'm sure you've at least heard me play, because I get pretty fired up. Coach always says I don't have to make my matches so personal, but honestly, I just don't know how to not make them personal when competition is such a huge part of me as a person. Though I show intensity and grit on the court, tennis has taught me how to be a compassionate listener for the growing voices of St. Mary's College. The devotion I have to St. Mary's College motivates me to inspire other young belles as they find their passions both on and off the court. As I wrap up this reflection, I want to take a moment to thank my coaches and teammates. Team, you guys are incredible. This is my favorite team that I've been on, and you guys are my family here at St. Mary's College. I'm so grateful to end my career with such an amazing group of women, and I'm so, so proud of every one of you. Coaches, the constant support I've received from you for so many years has been incredible and meaningful beyond measure. Coach Dale, I never really imagined one of my mentors and best friends at an all-women's college to be a guy. But honestly, you've been there through it all. You've seen me at my worst. You know, the match in Orlando with the girl who wore her hair down the entire match, and the tie-dyed sunglasses. It was the worst implosion match of my life. But you've also been the first person to congratulate me at my best. Thank you for giving me a chance. I can't wait to get the blueprints going for our Davy Campbell Tennis Center in a few years. Finally, it is with gratitude to St. Mary's College that I go forth and I confidently embody my official message to the world and to all the future belles. Create moments in which genuine love and kindness become contagious. Thank you.
I'm going to call you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll just hold it, I guess. Thanks, Sarah. Do my whole dance. Thank you.
Can I have all of our speakers come back up, please? Molly, Zoe, Carol.
Gotcha.
We have a little something for you guys. And you guys did a wonderful job. I know it's not easy to come up here and speak in front of this loud, rowdy crowd that we have here, but just know that you are all very, very loved. We're going to miss you guys, and you did a beautiful job of reflecting on your sport, and we really thank you for that. So thank you. So we are going to take about a 5-minute break right now and then come back to Bella Word. So go get more popcorn, lemonade, whatever you'd like, and then come back in. Thank you guys.